Yo, thanks for joining the call. Guess we got a lot to talk about, specifically about friends and what friends are and how they fit in our lives as adults. Because it's totally different from when you're a kid to moving up into the world and just growing up. Even in your 20s, you sort of blink and you're there, you're in your 20s, and all of a sudden you look around and you don't have any friends anymore. You're isolated. Where'd they go? What's happened? You know? It just felt like the other week we were just hanging out at your parents' place. Do you know what I mean? Just messing around, talking. Now all of a sudden I'm in this job. Now all of a sudden I'm just surviving. Now all of a sudden I'm just wondering. And friendships, man. I feel like as simple as some of them are, others are so complicated. They all come in different shapes and sizes. And I think one of the biggest things with friendships that is underestimated is our expectations of our friends. Like if you put too much expectation on a friend, for example, you've got a really tight mate and now you've both grown up and you've got different jobs, you're in different places and they're in a marriage, or they're off doing this, or they're in a serious career, or they're just working all the time. You kind of have this expectation that my friend, like at least my friend would stand the test of time. And that gets to your mind. You can't let it do that. You can't jade your friendships by projecting expectations of how they should be and what the quality of the friendship should be. You can't expect someone at one point in your life, maybe as a kid, to remain the same kind of quality and friend 10, 20 years down the road, because change is inevitable. Evolution is inevitable. It's just one of those things. And we've just got to make do with the cards that we were given. It's important. It's important to remember that, really this is a solo journey. It's you against the world. You're fighting. You're like the gladiator, do you know what I mean? You're standing on the top of a mountain. You're looking down at the burning forest in front of you. The world's on fire. Sometimes it feels like that. Do you know what I mean? Wow, everything's gone to shit. Do you know what I mean? No more friends. Job's tough. Do you know what I mean? Where's my support? No? And some of us are fortunate enough to be able to depend on family, but maybe you aren't. I don't know. I don't know. It's different for everyone. But I recently had a friend from back when I was younger, part of our friendship group. He passed away recently. And you would think, you would assume that something, so significant, someone who was a part of our childhood would bring us all together, would minimize the distance that was created in adult life, but somehow it didn't. Somehow we're all still, just fighting the demons on our own sometimes. And that's kind of why I wanted to start this channel. That's why I wanted to hop on this call with you. Because sometimes we don't get an opportunity to talk about the things that are running through our minds in real life. We don't get to share the thoughts, the ideas, the problems, the experiences that the world is presenting to us and how we have to adapt to it. We don't get to really share and figure it out together. And I want this video, this channel to be somewhere where we can all just talk about our thoughts, without judgment, no advice. I don't want to tell you what to do, what not to do. I don't want to tell you you're good or you're bad. Sometimes you just need a friend. That's why I'm making this video, because really a friend is just someone who gives you company, someone who's there for you when you need them. Is just there with a hand, a nice gentle hand on your shoulder, just going, I hear you. Do you know what I mean? And I hear you. You clicked on this video for a reason. You're thinking about this sort of stuff. Like you might even feel like you've been forgotten by some people. You might feel like you're not important to some people. You might feel like you're not worth their time. You send them a text, nothing comes back. You ring up the phone and it just goes to answer message. It's jarring. You know what I mean? Sometimes it can actually be jarring, especially because life can change sometimes like that. But I want you to know something. Life keeps going. And that's all that there is really, isn't it? Life keeps going. Friends keep evolving. And we're steady state. You know what I mean? And all you've got is yourself sometimes. And a friend is great. You know what I mean? You need them sometimes, but you actually can't depend on every one of them. And if you are lucky enough to have a friend where you can actually depend on them, like for real depend on them, you can call them up at any point in time and you know they're going to answer or get back to you within 24 hours, hold on to that person. It's really highlighted to me, especially at my age now. And I just, it's just important to just work our way through these kind of things. And so many different friends over the course of time. Ones that you have, that you used to be so tight with, that you used to think the world of, and now you haven't heard from them in years. Not even a peep. Others that you weren't even that close with, that now are just like popping back up into your life. All of a sudden they're more aligned into your life than you ever thought would happen. You know what I mean? It could even be like the person that you hated back when you were a kid is now like so similar to you in so many ways as you've grown. And life is beautiful in that way. You get to experience the evolution. We're all just in this chaotic little bubble where things are just constantly changing. Man. But sometimes I do just sit there, and you might too, just sit there and sometimes just think to yourself, man, I wish I had a friend right now. Man, I wish I could just confide in someone. Man, I wish I could just tell someone this thing that happened to me today. You know what I mean? What happened to you today? Was there something that happened in your life just today that you didn't get to share with anyone? Drop it in the comment. Let them know, It's therapeutic. It's useful. You need a place to just talk through our emotions, you know what I mean? I'm tired of feeling like I have to hide some of the things that are going on. I have to pretend like some of the things that are happening aren't happening. I'm tired of having to be isolated sometimes. I know you are too. You ever just you ever watched like a movie or a TV show and just thought, damn, I'd love to be in that friendship group, Like, obviously it's just a load of malarkey. Imagine you chuck on an episode of Friends and you're like, I wish I was in that friendship group. Do you know what I mean? It seems just so handy dandy all the time. Everyone's got some quirky thing going on and they're always connected to each other. I don't know about you, but have you ever had have you ever seen another friendship group where they just seem to be so tight and inseparable? Like, I've only seen it a few times in my life, where they're just always, even as adults, they're always on Xbox together, like multiple times throughout the week. Or they're still going to festivals together. They still have a group chat that's like active. Meanwhile, my friendship group chat, it just died a long time ago. Things changed. And some of us just, maybe you and me, we didn't get so lucky. But that's alright. Because actually, sometimes being alone, the development you get from that, allows you to fine-tune yourself to be able to find the right people much faster, the people that are actually going to be beneficial to you in life. If you just stick to the same crowd for the rest of your life, you might never know what's on the other side of the coin. And maybe we're just on that journey to find out, what is on the other side of that coin. What is waiting for me? Who is going to pop into my life? I'm waiting. Sometimes it can feel like a long wait. Heck, it's been a long wait for me. I'm sure it's been a long wait for you. But it's happening. It's coming. It's coming. Someone who's going to pop into your life is going to be absolutely insane. You know what I mean? The best friend you could have ever asked for. You know what I mean? The type of mate you just can't even believe they're that sick. You can't believe it's like 1 minute you didn't know them, the next day all of a sudden they're like inseparable with you. Do you know what I mean? They're meeting your family, they're part of your life, you're hanging out with them all the time. Yeah, mate, it's coming. Yeah. Soon for all of us. I think we're all we're all a bit fed up of being isolated now, aren't we? The social media thing just properly disconnects everyone. You'd think that the way that they promote social media, that you know, as if you can connect, you're instantly able to text anyone, you're able to call anyone with a phone, you're able to see what others are doing online, and yet we're all distanced so much more than we ever have been before. The irony is kind of great. And I feel it in the air. You see it on YouTube, you watch these videos and everyone's, you know, kind of just talking through their emotions, trying to work it all out, you know, really just trying to reverse engineer what's going on, because, you know, it doesn't really make sense. How has this happened? No, it used to be so much simpler back when, you know, my parents were younger, back in maybe in the earlier in the century, back in the 1901s. When all you had was a couple mates and you just like lived together, you just went to the same job for the 40 years and then that was it. Now everything's changing so quick. Everyone's jumping jobs, jumping friendship groups, jumping this, jumping that, changing countries. Some people are surviving, some people on the dole, some people are, you know, it's a madhouse. I don't know. But I guess the truth is we're all going through the same thing. So where does that leave us? Do you know what I mean? If we're all experiencing the same thing, yet none of us are talking to each other as much as we used to, and things have changed so much that we haven't been able to find like a through line. You know what I mean? We haven't been able to reconnect. It's like everyone's desperate to reconnect, yet there's no actual vehicle that allows us to do that. Maybe aside from YouTube as the answer, you know? Oh God. It's a crazy time we live in. But I'm sure you're going to be fine. You know, sometimes, you know, you build things up in your head. You think I'm never going to have a friend again. I'm never going to be able to leave this job again. You know, I'm stuck. I can't pay my bill. I'll never be able to pay a bill again. And then the next day you feel better. The next day, things changed just a little bit. Just enough. Something different happened. It was just enough to give you a bit of hope. You know, you reached out to a friend for a 5th time, a 6th time. You got aired the past 4 or 5 times, and then the 6th time you just hit him up again, and then, yo, just out of nowhere, just a yo. Say, hey, how you been? I'm so really sorry I missed your thing. Like, this is my reason. It's very, like, sound. You know? Easy to overthink. But, you know, hard to stay cool, calm, and collected. Yeah, I just wanted to make this. I just want to hop in this call because, honestly, I'm sure so many of us right now, you, me, we're just proper feeling it. I really hope you're doing all right. I really hope you know, you're not too down, you're not too isolated. I hope you've got at least a few people, if it's just me, even if it's just me in this video, where you feel like, you know, you're just talking to someone, you get to talk to someone, have a conversation, you know, talk about some real stuff, you know, that isn't just the general, hey, how you doings, and the what we doing today, and the how's your weekend been, you know what I mean? But the actual ambience, how's life been, you know? It's a big question. It's hard to get into the nitty gritty, so yeah, I just wanted to hop on this call and kind of just, you know, tackle things one at a time. Yeah. Got a long road ahead of us, gang. A long road. Life is full. Gotta make do with what we got. And maybe it's just for now. Just for now we feel this way. We'll be alright. We'll be chilling. You know what I mean? You'll be alright. You'll be chilling. Everything will pan out. Just gotta give it time. You gotta mold yourself in the fire a bit. And you know, good things always come to people that are patient. And you are probably a very patient person, very thoughtful person, very caring individual, values friendship. You wouldn't have clicked on this video had you not been someone like that. You wouldn't be listening to me ramble if you weren't the type of person who, you know, really, you know, was really in tune, you know, quite sensitive, emotive, you know what I mean? Someone who cares. Most people don't care. Most people are just fucking, you know what I mean? But we do. We care. You care. I care. We going up, cuz. Yes, sir. But anyway. Yeah, what's your life been saying? Drop in the comments. How's it been? Yeah. Who was the last person you spoke to recently that, like, you know, gave you a bit of hope? And don't tell me it was another YouTube video of a guy. You know, that's one of the craziest things, isn't it? If I asked you a question like, who was the last friend you spoke to? Actually, I bet you a lot of people say, well, it's this YouTube video I saw the other day of this guy in a forest and he gave me this Bible verse. You know, it was this, this lady and she was sat in a coffee shop talking about this and he was on a YouTube video. I mean, that is just, the world's changing so fast. Man. God damn. How are we meant to keep up? You know, sometimes I don't even want to keep up. I mean, that's alright. Why do I have to keep making progress? Why do you have to keep making progress? I don't. I feel like every day I'm on Facebook or Instagram and I see another paid ad telling me what I should and shouldn't do. I'm seeing another person flaunting their stuff, projecting onto me some weird, weirdness, making me feel like I gotta fit in some weird way. Man, I'm just sat at home. Do you know what I mean? What are you telling me to do something for? On my phone. The amount of people who I see on a daily basis who tell me to do things on my phone. YouTube videos, where they're just saying, you need to do this, you can't do that. God damn. Leave it at. You're alright. Anyways, gang, I'm going to sign out because it's my first video, it's my first call. I don't want to ramble too much and waste your time. I've just set up this whole thing, so hopefully we'll get to know each other a bit better as time goes on. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully we get to discuss some topics and kind of just evolve together. Do you know, when everyone else is focused on all this other stuff, do you know what I mean? All the other crap. When they're thinking about the money and they're thinking about the progress and they're thinking about this and that. Let's take a step back and take a pause. You know what I mean? Let's really just feel how it feels to feel. Let's emote the way it needs to be emoted. Do you know what I mean? Let's actually understand what's going on in the wider world and where our little place in it is. Because ultimately, maybe that's just me and I like reverse engineering and understand what it all means, but I don't feel like enough of that is being shared at the moment, so thank you so much for joining this call. I really do hope you're doing well. And soon come your friends are going to be arriving. It might not be next, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be the week after that, but things change. And you'd be surprised what happens. You'd be surprised at who circles back. You'd be surprised at who you meet along the way. You'll be alright. Take a pause for a minute. Thanks so much for being here. I'll speak to you in a bit. Appreciate you. Peace.